dignitaries on, no, request dignitaries to take the stage. With Shantanu, Mr. Atul Singh, IRS Commissioner of Customs Policy, CBSE, Mr. Sunil Ashwani, Executive Director, CSLA, Mr. Preetham Banerjee, Head WTO, Mr. T.S. Ahluwalia, Member FIO Managing Committee.
The next session has started. May I request everybody to be quiet, please? Gentlemen, may I request you to please take your seats. The next session has started already. Dr. Banerjee, please go on the stage. I think... sorry? First we'll have to introduce Shantanu, no? Mr. Ahluwalia and Mr. Shantanu Bhatkamkar. Mr. Ahluwalia, may please come on the rise.
Thank you. We'll start the session now with permission of Shantanu. Sir, can I start, sir? Shantanu, sir.
Sir, we are in the beginning of the first panel discussion session. We would, due paucity of time, we would request that session, if you can keep it to 40 to 45 minutes maximum, because we got two sessions. May I ask Mr. Ahluwalia to please come on the stage? As we go into the next session, that is the panel discussions, we have two very interesting sessions. The first one is being chaired by Mr. Shantanu Bhatkamkar. Mr. Shantanu Bhatkamkar has to keep his profile very short. He is a global head of MD of ATC Global and the present president of AMTOY. He has also been past president advisor to leading industry bodies AMTOY, CFSAI, IFCBA, Makia, etc., and shipping, trade and multimodal logistics. I will keep it short, Shantanuji, and you are a second generation custom broker and international freight forwarder with a global exposure and, of course, loaded with a Harvard OPM alumni. Over to you, Shantanuji.
Can we close the doors? Can we close the doors? Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. See, we had a amazing inaugural session and we had two wonderful compeers, Padmanabhan ji and Umesh ji. Now it's our turn, fellow panelists, to take it to the next level. So I'm burdening you right from beginning to pitch a higher scale and keep the audience engaged. See, we are living in interesting and eventful times, and that's more true about our industry. Let's look back to Fukushima event. It's 15 years. And Fukushima changed the way people looked at supply chain. It's not COVID, it's right from Fukushima, and that's 15 years back, 2011. Indian Prime Minister took in his mission of supply chain resilience in court discussions. So that's the importance the nation and the government gives for supply chain resilience. We heard of a new phrase called new normal. Lot of things we do today are very different and at a different pace. So in every respect now we are setting new normals. We have been talking about USA, Israel and Iran or what happens to Hormuz, but we had also spoken about Red Sea crisis. Suez Canal crisis when one ship was stuck there. So I think the new normal we have already adjusted because there are so many such events. We also had skirmishes with two of our neighbors, two skirmishes with two neighbors, and we are still enthusiastic. We are all planning to grow, and we are here with enthusiasm to deal with supply chain resilience. At the core of it is our common customer, the importer and exporter, the common customer we endeavor to serve. I think the theme has been conceived very imaginatively, and member customs also made a comment on it. It refers to co-creation. Traditional logistics fails under stress because we have not held each other's hand. Here the conception, I think Umesh give compliments to whosoever has put pressure on it of co-creation, and let's be serious about it. When we draw a white paper, we would like to participate on defining and redefining co-creation.
Thank you, sir. We need your support on that.
Sorry?
We will need your support on that.
Yes, of course. No, I'm quite impressed by our sessions theme also, but even more by co-creation as an idea. So first round, we are going for just opening remarks. May I request all the co-panelists to limit opening remarks to 3 minutes so that we can have other two rounds of 2 or 3 minutes. Umesh speaks softly, but he carries a big stick. He has asked us to conclude session in 45 minutes. And we promise that, and to help you, I will keep a timer. So, Atulji, it was wonderful discussing with you on video conference. And you have a position that's very interesting, which is you are in policy wing. And it is policy wing where all our work is as associations. We don't come to you for commercial matters. We come to you for policy. And people who work in policy have a different mindset from others. We tend to think ahead of times. So the floor is yours, and Atulji is IRS and he is Commissioner of Customs Policy. I think that alone speaks about him. We don't need to give a longer introduction. And I find myself embarrassing to sit when somebody is giving a long embarrassment. I think all of us share that, so I'll keep all of you your introduction very short. So the floor is yours, Atulji.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So a very warm good afternoon, everyone. I prepared a lot for this session, but with the time constraint, I'll just straight away come to the exact topics. So first of all, I thank CFSAI and NACFS for organizing this event and giving us an opportunity to come here and meet with all of you. Because frequently in the policy section, we meet many people across industry and trade, but we don't meet so many people together at one stage. The combination of people whom I see here is across this supply chain. So I think I would be able to at least say something which can help or which will enlighten you, because I'm wasting time of so many people. And if I add all the time together, it will be a huge responsibility on me not to waste time of others. So my focus today is just to give you a perspective that what we think when we design a policy for anyone. And especially in this resilient time frame, what we see is anyway, whether it is, we presume that in the current world, the way the globalization happened, now it's the time when the things have started to change. If we see from the global perspective, now its defragmentation has started across the countries, And there will be chances, whether it is 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, because there is a talk in the town that the currency may go a replacement. There can be a de-dollarization. So government is also prepared that we have to handle any kind of disruption which is outside our boundaries. So when we speak about resilience, resilience comes from two parts. First is one, we cross the border, and that is not in control of anyone who is sitting here, because it has all, the moment the goods leave our borders, it is in the international domain, the rules are different, the policies are different, and it is, you cannot control those things. So the government has wholeheartedly decided that the things which are in our control, which is the inside part of the border, that has to be in sync and to make it resilient. So to make this resilient, what is to be done? The question is now, what is to be done? So the focus is, number one, there has to be a trust between the government authorities and the industry association, all the stakeholders. And second is, there has to be a predictability for any activity which is being done inside the whole country, anywhere. Third is to have a system which can be scaled up. So if you analyze these three things and keep these things in your mind, you will just see that this is how Government of India is operating. We are making trust-based systems across the ministries. It's not only customs, it's across the ministry. The predictability everywhere, we are talking now of timelines, that if how much time we can clear. We are saying that every action, even the government actions, have to be displayed to the service receivers within what time they'll be getting those services. To implement these two things, if we go to the budget this year, the way the budget was projected, this was the first time, I think, remember, in a lot of time span, Honorable Finance Minister spent a lot of time on customs processes. So if you go and hear that budget speech, it was around 15 minutes. She just spoke on the process. Otherwise, it was always on the rates and the duty part. So the intent is very clear that the process has to be refined in such a way that it becomes efficient. It has to be a trust-driven, and we should have a system in place to scale up the whole procedures. Because as all the eminent speakers have spoken a lot about the infrastructure creation and the way industries are operating, going ahead, India has to become a exporting country. The net export has to come up. Any country which goes through this phase, if we have to reach to the top 3, top 2, then the export has to fire up at a very high level when compared to the positions we stand today. So this can only come through all the drivers are all the players who are in supply chain, especially the CFSs, the ports, and because CFSs have been one of the important drivers for the ports, because ports are a very long-term projects. It is not easy to create, but CFSs have come up, they have taken up the whole load, and they have been a huge contributor to this. Coming to the changes what we have done in the customs part is more on trust. Again, the duty, it has been made monthly basis. Then if you see more of
Sir, can we come to the budget later on?
Right, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because budget is critical.
Okay.
And time is also
Okay,
critical.
thank you.
So, Sunil has been a popular speaker, so doesn't need introduction. And he is with CSLA currently, and CSLA represents all the shipping lines, all 25 global shipping lines. And if at all there is one stakeholder which has been most affected and taking the biggest risk, it's the shipping lines. See, sometimes we talk good about you.
Yes, thank you for that.
So, Sunil, floor is your opening remarks.
Yeah, thanks, Shantanu. First of all, thanks to CFSAI and to North India CFS for inviting me here. It's indeed an honor to be sharing the dais with this distinguished set of panelists and for addressing this August gathering. We all know that we met here to discuss the topic of resilience, which is very, very apt under the current circumstances. As the saying goes, laughter is the best medicine. But I wonder how one can do that under a situation where the Hormuz choke has itself almost become a joke. It's unfortunately given the world shipping constipation and gas problems, pun intended. Having said that, and why do I say that? I say it because under the current circumstances, we have several of our ships which are actually stranded inside the Persian Gulf. And as shipping lines, we are forced to, neither can those ships get out, so they are totally stranded. The ships are stranded, and so are the containers. And that's causing a big pressure on the remaining capacity to be able to service the trade. And while the shipping lines have been doing all that they can by calling on the east of Hormuz ports out there, but we are also very aware of the fact that the Indian trade over here needs the ships to make their calls and the containers to be made available to the trade. While we are working on that, just a quick request, if I may put across to customs, and this is an old one, that whenever we have the long-standing containers and they are sitting here for several months and even years because auctioning has been delayed or the cargo has been abandoned, we request customs to please have those containers or those cargoes auctioned as quickly as possible and have those containers released so that they can be used for the export fraternity. In the meanwhile, the ports as they are, and of course the CFSs have been playing a very, very dominant role under the current circumstances, and thanks to them for that. And also while like ports like Nhava Sheva, Mundra, and then of course Vizinjam, which is coming up as a good transshipment hub. As one always says that in every adversity lies an opportunity. So here's an opportunity for India to rise up to the occasion and some of our ports to take over, while some of the other ports, global ports like Jebel Ali, are stuck because of the current situation. I'll leave my remarks here and come back on this later. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. But let's stick to resilience. And if at all... I was talking about resilience. Next time, next section. If at all you saw Sumil smiling and have sense of humor, its credit is to me. We had a pact that so long as he laughs, we don't fight with shipping lines.
You know, he challenged me to that, and I never gave up challenges.
I think Dr. Banerjee, again, is a highly learned people. When I sit next to people who have done doctorate, I become nervous. If at all you find me nervous, normally you won't find me nervous, it's because of him. He has been head of Center for WTO Studies in the Center for Research in International Trade. But right now, he will speak about supply chain resilience. So, floor is yours, Dr. Banerjee.
Thank you very much. And again, heartfelt gratitude to NACFS and CFSAI for giving me this opportunity. Given the very tight deadline of 3 minutes, I will basically reiterate the fact that Atulji was saying, that what is this supply chain resilience we have? Well, there are 4 choke points that globally we are looking at today. So one is the supply chain itself, then is the supply, the logistics side of it, and then there are other choke points that are, we have all been seeing which are being utilized. One is the demand choke point. So if there's a large market, they will use tariffs to cut off that market for your trade. You have the supply choke point itself, and we have seen dominant countries who control certain industrial supply chains, for example, industrial magnates, cutting off that export and disrupting those supply chains. The third choke point is technology. So if you have access to certain critical technologies, you might see that being turned off, and that might impact your manufacturing. And classic example is what is happening between US and China and the NVIDIA AI chips. So we have these choke points, and then the physical supply chain itself. And as Atulji mentioned, that has 2 aspects, the one that lies within our control in India and the one that is without. Now, in terms of what is within, we have been hearing since morning some fantastic things that has been happening. Some of it is learnings from our COVID pandemic shock, which is to go paperless, to make the procedural situation as efficient as possible. So we have a Turant, we have a spate of, we have Turant now, as Atulji mentioned, many of the initiatives announced in the budget this time, out of charge, and the trust-based thing, which is to expand as much as possible trust on trade. There again, we have fantastic initiatives like the AEO programs. One short suggestion over there is, why can't we then go for suo moto, at least tier 1 AEOs? So if firms have no adjudication, no criminal charges against them in the last 2 or 3 years, they have a certain GST and customs duty thresholds, not even customs duty thresholds, just GST thresholds. Because in India, there's something called the Mellits effect in economics, which says that firms beyond a certain level of efficiency don't export because the fixed costs are high. And the fixed costs basically are these costs of dealing with procedures and compliances. So maybe targeting that. The last thing that I would like to mention, where I think we're a little bit behind, though we have the Prime Minister's Gati Shakti, is the redundancy factor. Because we have, in my mind, 5 or 6 key trade lanes domestically, where EXIM trade moves between hinterland and port. They are largely road-based. Of course, we heard about the DFC, that's a great news. But have we ever stress-tested these key trade lanes that we have domestically? That's the question that perhaps we can come back to since my time is over. Thank you.
Thanks. I think we will come back to you. And your articulation was excellent. And we have our mutual customer. You are the star of the show.
Not star, sir.
The whole thing is for you.
Consumer of your services.
Consumer of the service, our customer, importer, exporter, and above that, he is a leader over there. He is a managing committee member of FIO. And he is a strong supporter of revised MMTG Act. See, before sending your recommendations, please discuss with us, because we want to maintain the integrity of Multimodal Transport Act and not change the color and convert it into a totally different animal. And we will discuss about it separately. As a customer, I think whatever we do, we suffer, or whatever we don't do, we suffer. But you suffer more by what we do. So, sir, your thoughts on supply chain resilience and logistics resilience?
I think nothing left for me to say. Thank you, sir. Yes, I am from the FIO, Apex Chambers of Chambers, and we are responsible for the Indian exports. I will take you to just away from what you have listened from my previous speakers and the first session. See, we all are sitting here for a better future, better business, better profits. So my concentration will be on that side. As you know, the changes happening in the geopolitical situation. So the new groups are formed. That new group will lead to new supply chains. So there will be drastic changes going to come into the supply chain. The best example today is the West Asia, as far as the resilience is concerned. You people are trying to push goods to the nations where those are under the war, and you people are able to push through the other ports to the inside of the war areas. That is the, strength of you people, your resilience in the logistics. I appreciate that. The cost is other side, okay? We will not discuss. As you know, the world economy, we are rising with the 7% growth, and world economy, which is $120 trillion economy, is rising by 3%. We are going with the 7%. Almost double growth of the, world economy. The foreign trade is also rising by 3%, where we are rising by 6 to 7%. My only worry is, I think you might have noticed or not, I put up a article 3 years before that service export will take over the merchant exports. You all have concern with the merchant export, not with the service exports. Service exports only give the jobs. There is no movement of the goods, so no job creations. Hopefully next year, the service export will take over the merchant exports. This year, the gap left is only $20 to $23 billion. Why it is happening is very important to understand. The policies so far provided, Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, all that, they are not working. It is really surprised that the policy launched for the growth of the manufacturing has brought the share of the manufacturing down by 1% to the GDP. I'm talking in the GDP. So we have to be very, very serious. We have to take the manufacturing very, very seriously. China plus one, manufacturing hub, all these things are very, very important, sir.
You will have second round, sir.
Yeah?
You will have the second round. You can conclude in the next
No,
round.
just give me a minute. So I'm talking for the growth, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what the government is aiming from us is they are looking 20% export share in the GDP. For 2030, it is, mentioned 10 trillion economy. So 20% of that is about 2 trillion. 1 trillion should come from the manufacturing exports, merchant exports, and 1 trillion from the service exports. And we are at 441. So we have to add $560 billion exports in next 5 years to meet the government objectives. If we can do it, definitely you will get 100% more business, more containers, and more business, more profit. So that is small thing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. And we'll come back to you. You are the purpose of our existence, so no rules for you, but we'll still come back to you. See, those who know engineering or science, we know that any system or any machine has limitation of efficiency. So you actually need disruption to go to the next level of efficiency. The same systems can't be improved beyond limit. I think we can say the same thing about custom clearance. It has reached a level of efficiency which can be only nominally improved. Most custom systems are well oiled. So now, sir, we are looking for disruption and completely different approach, and we saw that in the budget. Perhaps our expectations are even bigger, but probably you can enlighten the audience, and we can have one question round after this on the budget, or more than that, the expectations from customs. Sir.
Okay, thank you. For the budget is actually, if you ask me personally, I have a totally different view on this budget, whether we should have a 1-year budget or not. But because being in government, we have to do that. So other than budget, also we have a continuous action plan where we plan up event for 3 years, 5 years, and we do it. And in fact, we have started preparing for what we have to do in the next budget right now itself. So what is the idea? The idea is, if currently we see 86%, 87% of cargo which is coming in is just cleared without any interference by anyone. We have left with only 13 to 14% of the cargo. So this was the problem statement which we thought during this budget, that how to fix this 14% and make it easier for importers. So what we did was to look into it, how to make it more efficient. First is, if you see, we have gone into a lot of FTAs this year. So free trade agreements have been signed between the countries, and New Zealand yesterday, after 4 days, it is going to be rolled out, legally signed between the ministers. So FTA provides the rate rationale, the rate arbitrage for the importer who is importing in India. Second, once he brings the goods, and if he is an AEO, so that being the case, he gets a benefit of duty which was 15 days, now it is monthly. So getting a rate arbitrage. Second, if he gets an MRA under an AEO, he gets a benefit of 30 days of a duty payment. So within 1 year, within 1 month, he has to pay the duty. Then because it is a trusted entity, we see that trusted entities should not be disturbed for their inputs. The moment comes at the port, the goods comes at the port, goods are cleared without payment of duty, and if there is no compliance regulation, then the out of charge itself has been automated. Because we were facing a lot of grievances that even the goods are facilitated through RMS, people have to go and present documents for getting it cleared through from the customs. So imagine a scenario right now, a person who is building something which is a reputed company or a brand, he ships his container from anywhere with a rate arbitrage. The container reaches his premises without even paying the duty for even 30 days. If you have a capacity of producing it back or adding something and clear that goods within 30 days, either for export or in the domestic market, you can produce your finished products without paying duty. So this is the idea behind which this 30 days whole concept, this was my idea to just enlighten all of you why this has come in. So what we are thinking that within 30 days, you bring your goods, you produce it, you export it back. So once you are exporting it, because you are a trusted entity for me, your goods directly, the moment it is rolling out in JNPT, if it is e-sealed, your goods directly land on the ship. There is no interference. So imagine a company bringing a goods on a rate arbitrage, making it here, producing it here, and then sending it back on the exports without zero customs interference. So this is what the idea is, and this is what I wanted to highlight. And second is single window. It will again a lot of time, so I'll not, in the interest of time, I'll rest my case here.
Sir, we will call you for one person and whole agenda. These are all critical matters.
It will be an honor for me. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And we have all our local colleagues sitting here from all associations, and we will ensure that we will have one interactive session till you are tired of us. So, Sunil, what are your thoughts about all these disruption happening and how lines are responding? And you have a privilege of knowing what 25 global shipping lines are doing, rerouting, new steps for resilience or alternatives routes. So how can we reduce disruption which is destructive, not constructive? So any ideas?
Sure. So one of the very important points that come to my mind is taking off from where I left earlier. As I said that in every adversity lies an opportunity. And I think we as a country should seize this opportunity. The reason I say this is because right now, as we all know, the disruption that's caused in West Asia has impacted shipments from all over the world, and particularly so as far as India is concerned. Now with Jebel being a key hub point, a transshipment port, that's blocked off. The pressure has come in suddenly onto JNPA and Mundra, and they are taking the pressure on pretty well, thanks to CFSs that are around there. But this has happened all of a sudden because of the disruption that's been caused. So since we're talking about resilience and how do we prepare ourselves for any future disruptions, I would say that let's look at Vision-Jam. Now Vision-Jam is coming up very well. Over the last 1.5 years, it's already been doing about 1.5 million TEUs annually, and it has a draft of 20 meters. Effectively today a workable draft of 17.5 meters, which is good enough to handle latest generation vessels of container lines, which are about 24,000 TEUs. But of course, there are certain things that I have to develop even further. The port is growing. It's just got an 800 meter, key length. It will grow up to 2 kilometers. But there's road connectivity that's to happen. That's going to happen shortly. But even more importantly is the rail connectivity, which is going to take a while. That said, what is even more important is that how are we going to be able to use this port more effectively? Now, so far, we've had from 2017 till now, there has been a cabotage relaxation, which is due to expire on October 26. Now, this has allowed foreign shipping lines to not only bring containers into Vizinjam, but to also transship from there to other parts of the country. Now, once this expires in October, the foreign shipping lines will not be able to move these, transship these boxes to the other parts of the country. So what happens? You actually just come at one port, discharge them, and then go off. So it doesn't serve your purpose as a transship. You might as well do it from a port like Colombo and then be able to transship those containers to the east coast of India. Now, Colombo has had its own problems. There have been times itself has been congested. And then you got generally that's impacted. We need a transshipment hub very strongly. And for doing that, we not only need to develop the port, which is going to happen, activity, but more importantly, the transshipment facility, and that is to allow foreign shipping lines to do cabotage and continue with that so that we can be completely covered on that. Without that, the port is not going to take off as it should be, and we'll again be subject to the disruption that is happening globally. That's my point.
Thanks, Sunil. It was reassuring. Perhaps we need more as freight forwarder, because we become the punching bag. The customers actually have very little access to you. So we will discuss about it as we move on. Dr. Banerjee, we have built all our systems, including customs, port, CFS, on efficiency first. We may not have reached that level of efficiency, but probably now times require resilience first. So you must have done your studies on resilience and trade facilitation. So can you share some ideas on that?
Thank you for that question. But in my mind, they are not separate topics. And because first of all, how you are defining efficiency and how you achieve it also defines your resilience. So, for example, the idea of paperless and having minimum discretion is a way of having resilience. So, draft digital, for example, which is now going to allow a lot of the paper that was not possible to that had required paper interface can be now digitally be submitted. So this is a building block of that. But to take off from where Atulji was saying is that how do you build resilience? Well, you build resilience by your existing throughputs are as efficient as possible. So as Atulji mentioned, with about 15 to 16% do not get green channel treatment even today. Now think of a country which is growing, as Aluwalia ji said, at 5, 6, 7% per annum. The amount of containers per port you will have will increase with that volume. So is that 15% or even 13, 10% a sustainable number for physical interface further inspection? I do not think so. So the target should be that by 2030 we go somewhere to 6, 7%, and the CIS with its very integrated information database can develop that kind of risk management targeting. That's one place we should go to. Again, expanding AUO categories and trusted partners is the other way. But I'll come back to the point which had kind of stopped. I think the main challenge in resilience, which we can control, global events are not so much in our hands, is our domestic hinterland movement. There, the DFC providing an alternative to road, which is time-bound, predictable, etc., is a great move. But let's think about the 3-4 main corridors we have where containers actually move between hinterland and port. We have the North India cluster around NCR going to Mumbai, the West Indian ports. You have the Bangalore, Chennai. I mean, these are the two most important, and there are a few more. Have we ever found out that the main connectivity between where the containers come from and the throughput to that hinterland into that port, there are multiple choke points. Multiple choke points on both road and rail. Of course, the MMLP is one way of looking at it, but we have not ever mapped these choke points and seen, okay, what happens if there is a local riot? What happens if there is a local, natural emergency that cuts off some of these roads or rail? What happens if there are other challenges? So, till the time we have really mapped out the redundancies and made sure that even local disruptions do not, because as you are pointing out, sir, it takes one choke point to be blocked off for the whole whiplash effect to disrupt the entire system. One ship, blocking off the entire Suez Canal. Similarly, we have certain points in our road network where if you have one localized riot today in a point in Rajasthan, you might have a massive disruption of container movement between North India, NCR and the West India ports. So that is, I think, an area where all of us, who are in this ecosystem, not just the government, logistics operators, the government, the policymakers need to come and stress test our key trade lanes and say, okay, these are the micro level interventions that we need. Thank you.
Thanks, Pritam. I think thanks for saying that efficiency and resilience are not separate, they go hand in hand. I think we'll work on it further. So we should stop being super efficient, I think, then, perhaps. Aluwalia ji, I think you have heard everything people are doing. So what is your perspective as a exporter, importer? See, one of the big conglomerates, Indian supply chain and logistics head said while discussing with us that planning is one of the weakness of all Indians, not just us, but even more importers and exporters. And our theme over here is about collaboration. It is about creating everything together. So how we can work together, all the ecosystem here, for better planning. So can you throw some light on it?
The first answer is cooperate with us, we cooperate with you. That is the way we can increase our trust and business also. I have already given you some idea about the scope. I will also now give you the idea about how to go about it. See, we have invested in last 10, I'm not a political person and I'm not taking that thing in mind. I'm open talker, that way. So last 10 years, we have spent about 150 lakh crore, जो हिंदी में figure आती है, हमने spend किया infrastructure पे. But my export has increased only from 330 billion to 440 billion. So we have created a lot of infrastructure which is still underutilized. I was talking to JNPA, they are now taken the container coming from Singapore to Dubai, they are offloaded there and still they have the lot of capacity. I said it should not affect our efficiency. They said no sir, we have lot of capacity. So the capacity is there, the business of volume is not there. So my suggestion is now is to spend not in infrastructure, we should spend in economy. Now you will get confused, infrastructure is also part of the economy. Spending in the economy means increase the income of the people. How you can increase of the people? Either you give money to the people in their hand, or you rationalize your taxes so that people get more money in their hands and they should create demand of the products. When the demand of the products will raise, the lower sector will get the jobs, the upper sector will get the benefit to set up more factories and more businesses. That is the rule. Well, I can give you a simple example. I don't know, my professor is here, he can also help me in that. In mathematics, we know 100 plus 100 is 200, always 200. H2O, hydrogen, 2 particle, 1 particle oxygen, always water. Similarly, if you go to the doctor will give you a medicine for your trouble. If it is not suiting you and not curing you, then he will change the medicine and you get rid. Why we are unable to do the same thing with our economy? We have 145 billion people. US has only 35 billion. Their economy is 35 trillion and my economy is only 4 trillion. If we increase the size of our economy, we don't need any other country. We don't need Mr. Trump 1, Trump 2, Trump 3, we don't need anything. So that will create lot of business for all of us and betterment for all these people, bottom, middle and upper. So I'm not talking about, the present crisis, because in that I have my own sentiments, but I have concern with the reduction of the cost of logistics. That is the government agenda also. We should reduce the cost, and reduction in the cost will give you more business, more opportunities. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think you highlighted a very critical point that India still is better and we all travel all over the world. And it is our domestic demand that helps us to keep our optimism. And when we travel, people are very pessimistic or cynical. I think we are among the people who are optimistic and believer of India growth story. So thanks for making this point. I think we have time for maximum 2 questions, provided they are questions, not a comment. And if it is a comment, not more than 1 sentence of normal length. So please raise your hand, identify yourself. Krishnan, I have identified you. So Rama, I have identified you. So please question.
So my question is to Shri Atul Singh. So you gave a beautiful example of how 30 days from the raw material to a manufactured goods can turn around and sent out. Now, can something be done to your MOOWR program to incentivize it and make it much more popular than what it is today?
So Krishnan, we gave this opportunity so that when we hold a session with him, we will bring at least 25 people from Chennai.
Yes, sir.
Okay. For mover, so to identify what actually we need to do to improve that program, we are ready to work on the exact suggestions from the trade and industry, what changes they need. So there was some changes of exemption where 6 months they want to increase it to 1. So we did it 1 year, that it should be 1 year. So if certain pinpointed suggestions are there, how it is going to help the trade, we are open to have a discussion and change the rules as per the requirement of the trade. Because end of the day it is for you.
I think, sir, very wonderful reply. 1, you are willing to listen. 2nd, you are willing to change. It's music to our ears. And Rama, your question.
No, I think Shantanu, as far as Mr. Atul Singh is concerned, he is more proactive than us in giving the solution. Thank you so much. Sir, the overseas, when the cargo is taken to the warehouse from the airport, it is normally we fill in the time, what time the examination is required. If the examiner doesn't come in that time, it is out of charges given. Same thing I'm taking to the QCO level. If the QCO says that the minimum time taken for any QCO certification is 6 months and they do not do for even 2 years, can we think that the QCO is automatically approved and we can start importing? Thank you.
So coming back to this QCO, QCOs have been a very big point of contention between us and the other ministries. And in fact, customs is one of the ministry which has been raising up at all the forums wherever. So recently a committee has been constituted under the leadership of Cabinet Secretary, and they are reviewing all the QCOs. In fact, many QCOs, I think they have demolished also, that we don't need this, because they are issued at the last moment. We are, on one side, we are building an ecosystem where you have a certainty. This QCO issued at a very last moment saying that goods cannot enter in this premise without qualifying these conditions. You cannot in this supply chain bring a condition overnight and try and ask an importer to come up and follow all the conditions. We are a trade facilitation, we are TFA bound country. We have done it earlier in 2022. The one of the major criteria is, if you bring in any regulation, you have to publish and take a comment from the people. You have to publish in advance. So these all are the arguments we are taking up at the very high forum, that if you bring in QCO, either you make it very clear, which is very easy to understand even for customs, not for the trade. I am still clueless to understand many QCOs, how to understand. I feel very empathize with you guys that how you interpret those QCOs, because I have shown to many ministries that interpret and show it to me. where the importer should file this CTH for which QCO. So let's see, Ramaji, how this we travel this path, but we are trying a lot to make it harmonize with all the trade.
Thanks, sir. To have you on our side in policy wing is a big encouragement, and I think the whole industry will work for it. I think back to you, Umesh ji and Padmanabhan ji. We stuck to the time. Now give all this felicitation if the content was good.
Thank
We
you.
are stuck to the time.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. I think great applause for them. No, they done extremely good. No, not only time. I mean, now the speed is very important, like Adi Sakti. So they have finished it very fast. Thank you, Shantanu, for your team. I now request to time to honor you. I request Mr. Hari, of Vice President, to honor Mr. Atul Singh, IRS Commissioner Policy. Now I request Seabird Badmanabhan, Vice President, NACFS and CFSAI, to honor Sunil Vashwani, Executive Director, CSLA. I request Sambaseva Rao, Vice President NACFS. He is also CAA elect in Andhra Pradesh. Request to hand over. We request Celestine from Tuticorin, Vice President NACFS, to honor T.S. Alvaria, Member FIO. Now I request Captain Nishit, Vice President, to honor Shantanu Bhatnagar, President Amtai, and the moderator of the session. Thank you, sir. I request you to come forward to take a group photo. Dear friends, please continue to stay here. We'll have another session, very fast one, and we have a very important moderator, Mr. Nadesayar Krishnan, and excellent knowledgeable person in the industry. I request Mr. Sagar Kadu, Director Logistics,